I Hate the News is the weekly news bulletin from I Hate Politics podcast, a show about a human activity we love to hate. I'm Sunil Dasgupta. It's February 18th, 2025. Protests continue in Washington, D.C. and across the country against the Trump administration. The state of Maryland and its suburban counties most affected by the possibility of mass federal layoffs gear up to help those losing jobs. Montgomery County passes a law to ban retail plastic bags in 2026, and paper bags will be taxed. In DC, Howard University became a Research One institution, the first historically black college to reach the highest research category in U.S. higher education. In the U.S. District Court in DC, a Walgreens store manager pleaded guilty for her part in 7 robberies at the Chinatown drugstore, raising questions about why retail theft rose dramatically after the pandemic. And more. Stay with us.
I Hate Politics is brought to you by UMBC's Political Science Program. If your goal is to make a meaningful impact with a career in local, state, or federal government, discover what this degree can do for you. Learn more at shadygrove.umbc.edu.
I Hate Politics is a podcast about our neighborhoods, workplaces, schools and streets, and our local governments as they function in diverse and democratic societies. This means our politics are messy, dirty, sometimes corrupt, with often self-serving politicians. But no matter how much we may hate politics, we are never exempt from it, even when we refuse to participate. In fact, the purpose of politics is to keep society moving precisely when we don't agree with each other. Like now. Music for this episode comes from the protest rallies against the Trump administration on February 17th at the National Mall.
This was our battle, and how justice was denied. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. Don't say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles which are more than black or white. And I could not put down my sword when justice was my right. Make them hear you. Make them
We swear an oath to all the oppressed and all the exploited and all the disadvantaged. We swear an oath to people of conscience. We swear an oath to everyone that wants a better nation. And from this day forward, we're going to fight with every ounce of our strength.
Elon Musk has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. Elon Musk has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. Elon Musk has got to go, hey, hey.
Crowds gathered at the National Mall in D.C. on February 17th on President's Day as part of the countrywide No Kings protest. Over the weekend, President Trump issued another incredible statement on social media. He who saves the country, Trump wrote, does not violate any law. This is not only a claim of monarchy, but also a sanction of social violence by his supporters. The purge of federal workers continues. USAID, the Department of Education, the Consumer Finance Protection Board, Health and Human Services, and even the National Nuclear Security Administration, where, after firing 300 workers, the Trump team is now trying to rehire them back to manage nuclear weapon security. The moves have unleashed chaos, but if you're looking for some method to the madness, clearly probationary civil servants who are more easily dismissed have been the first targets. Among probationers, those closest to completing their probationary status are the first to let go. When dismissed for performance, the letters do mention appeal to the Federal Merit Board. The administration likely expects an onslaught of lawsuits, which are coming, and so also likely to deny resources to the judiciary for quick dispensation. By the time the lawsuits are decided, if at all, the damage will have been done. and a new administration might be in place. The state of Maryland and its suburban counties, Montgomery, Prince George's, Frederick, and Howard, which house tens of thousands of federal workers, are directly affected. Here is Howard County Executive Calvin Ball extending special consideration for laid-off federal workers applying for open county positions.
Howard County is working to expedite employment application processes for our federal workers. Our Howard County Department of Recreation and Parks currently operates 23 before and after care programs. We are working diligently to expand these. Our Human Resources Office will reopen enrollment for county employees to enroll in dependent care FSA to support child care needs. We're working closely with our neighbor in Montgomery County to expand Flash Bus Rapid Transit, or BRT, along the US 29 corridor from downtown Columbia to Silver Spring. This month, the Howard County Council approved our legislation authorizing Howard County to move forward with planning for this critical service extension. We anticipate launching the Flash extension with Montgomery County in 2026.
If you are a federal worker or know one, visit response.maryland.gov/federal public servants. If you are looking to connect to protests and resources, visit civicactionhubmd.com.
Let me care as much as I know I should. I won't stand alone. We'll stand side by side as we know that love.
After taxing plastic bags in grocery stores, carry-out restaurants, and other retail since 2011, last week Montgomery County, Maryland passed a law to fully ban retail use of plastic bags starting January 1st, 2026. The law also increases the tax on paper bags from 5 cents to 10 cents to be evenly divided between the county and the store. The Council's Transportation and Environment Committee Chair Evan Glass summarizes.
The BYO bill will prohibit the use of plastic bags while also increasing the fee for paper bags from 5 cents to 10 cents, with 5 cents being allocated to the retailers and 5 cents being allocated to the Water Quality Protection Charge Fund. Recipients of food assistance programs like SNAP and Women and Infant Children Program WIC would be exempt from the carryout bag fee. The Transportation and Environment Committee unanimously recommended enactment of the bill with technical amendments, and one item that we deferred to full council discussion was what the effective date should be, whether it should be July 1st, 2025 as originally proposed, or be delayed as DEP has suggested for better implementation.
In the scheme of things, the plastic bag ban or the paper bag tax is peanuts. But public response to these types of taxes raise hackles far beyond their economic impact. The bill was also passed unanimously, so opposition to it is truly puzzling. Why? In Montgomery County, the county's Inspector General issued a report in 2023 where she said that the county was not tracking back tax revenue and had little knowledge of who was paying in and who was not. Enforcement was sketchy, and there was no monitoring of results in preventing plastic bag pollution. The new law that the council passed seeks to address the accounting issues. There is a broader critique of plastic bag bans based on a 2018 study from Denmark, which says that the climate impact of a cotton bag is much greater than that of a plastic bag. A non-organic cotton bag would have to be used 7,000 times to justify its use over plastic. For organic cotton, the bag would have to be used 20,000 times before it breaks even. This study went viral when it was released, but it is not without its problems. It takes into account some types of costs, but not others. For example, there is no accounting of microplastics as they break down and enter the food chain, which is a bigger problem if you don't have an effective recapture within the trash collection system. I asked 2 local watershed preservation leaders in the DC area who lead litter cleanups about what they were seeing on the ground. Christy Brock of Urban Adventure Squad is a stream team leader for Rock Creek Conservancy, and Trey Sherrod of Anacostia Riverkeeper is vice chair of the Anacostia Watershed Community Advisory Committee.
I'm Trey Sherrod. I'm the riverkeeper at Anacostia Riverkeeper. I've been doing cleanups in the Anacostia watershed for about 13 years at this point. My work here started immediately after DC implemented their bag fee, the 5-cent bag fee on disposable bags. And we have documented through volunteer cleanups and through trash traps in DC and now in Maryland, not a lot of bags. The fee worked really well in DC. We have seen that slide in recent years, particularly during COVID. So I'm excited to see Montgomery County move to a ban on plastic bags. I was really excited to see Prince George's County make a move on a ban that I think implemented this year because they had been prevented by the Maryland General Assembly from implementing a bag fee like DC and Montgomery County had.
I'm Christy Brock. I'm Director of Programming for Urban Adventure Squad. I am a certified stream team leader through Rock Creek Conservancy. I've been leading litter cleanups with Urban Adventure Squad for about 7 or 8 years. And as part of our programming, because there's the educational component of working with students, they're not only cleaning up litter around their schoolyard or in Rock Creek Park and other green spaces, they are actually doing a trash audit. So they will be marking down, tallying what types of trash they're seeing and putting into those bags. And what I've noticed is there are very few plastic bags that students are picking up. There's very little styrofoam because there was the foam ban in DC as well, and very few straws because we're oftentimes in picnic areas at the park or we're in schoolyards. If we do see a straw, it's clearly one that was part of a juice box. It's not a straw that you would get from a local establishment when you get your drink. So the most common thing we see in our litter cleanups is above and beyond plastic bottles, single-use plastics, and aluminum cans. So we are not seeing those items that have already had legislation in place for many years, like the bags, the straws, the styrofoam.
Christy Brock of Urban Adventure Squad and Trey Sherrod of Anacostia Riverkeeper, thank you. Last week in U.S. District Court in D.C., London Teeter, 21, a Walgreens store manager, pleaded guilty for her part in 7 robberies at the Chinatown drugstore she worked at in 2023 and 2024. In each robbery, a masked gunman entered the store, forced an employee into the manager's office, and accessed the manager's office using a code provided by Teeter. The gunman then robbed the employees and fled through the rear exit. Teeter and a co-conspirator took turns pretending to be the victim manager on duty. The Chinatown Walgreens hired special police officers, and during 2 robberies, these officers were relieved of their guns. Trial dates are pending for her co-conspirators, Michael Robinson, 34, Kamanye Williams, 25, and Gianni Robinson, 27. Retail theft has been a big issue after the pandemic in cities nationwide, and particularly in Washington, D.C., where videos of groups of young people walking into stores and out with unpaid merchandise led to widespread fears of lawlessness. Retail theft, carjackings, and homicides, the 3 categories of crime that saw post-pandemic spikes, have since subsided. But it is still interesting to think about why crime spiked in the first place. One of the major fallouts of the pandemic was staffing shortage across the economy, but particularly in low-paid retail. Companies had trouble staffing store locations and operated with fewer people than they would have liked. If this led to lowered recruitment standards and training, infiltration was possible. Rather than blame rising crime on social dysfunction or even lack of policing, could it be that corporate recruitment and training were compromised? No matter what the reason, the theft needed to be stopped. Labor shortage is as much a political and policy problem as street crime, but London Teeter's case opens our eyes to how much public safety encompasses. Also last week, Washington, D.C.'s Howard University was designated as a Carnegie Research One institution, the first historically black college to reach the highest research category in American higher education. Carnegie R1, as it is known, is a highly coveted classification that signals research output and graduate training. According to the American Council of Education, on an average, R1 institutions spend at least $50 million on research and development and produce at least 70 research doctorates. According to Howard's Senior Vice President for Research, Bruce Jones, the university spent $85 million on research in 2023 and produced 96 PhDs, including the most doctorates awarded to black students at any college or university in the United States. Congress established Howard University after the Civil War in 1867 to provide higher education to black Americans, including freed slaves, many of whom had fled to Washington, D.C. during the war. Howard University is now open to everyone. In a surprise move reminiscent of the goings-on in the federal government, Howard Community College in Howard County has gotten rid of its Human Resources Department altogether. The college says it is outsourcing this function via a $7.7 million 5-year contract with a company called Campus Works, from where the college hired its last chief information officer, Jane Ellen Miller. The change is another controversial decision in the troubled tenure of Howard Community College president Daria Willis, the first black woman to lead the college. The Baltimore Banner reported in November last year that more than 250 employees had left since Willis started at HCC in January 2022. That's all for this episode. Be sure to check out our feature interview series that come out Friday mornings. I Hate Politics is produced by me, Sunil Dasgupta, with support from University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I direct UMBC's political science program at the universities at Shady Grove in Montgomery County, where, among other things, we explore and learn about politics, government, and society close to home. Music for this episode comes from protest songs from the rally against the Trump administration on the National Mall on February 17th, President's Day. Usually, we feature local music on the show. If you want to share your music on the podcast or know someone else who might want to, please email us at producer@ihbpod.org. See you next time.
Let me care as much as I know I should. I won't stand alone. We'll stand side by side.